Welcome to the Metal Verbalizers podcast, a podcast about promoting underground metal bands. We think that underground metal is very overlooked, and especially among podcasts, which is very unfortunate, because there's a lot of great music to be found. We started this podcast because we want to support these underground metal bands, and we want to give you the opportunity to discover these great bands as well. If you enjoyed this podcast, we could really use your support. Some great ways you can support us is by rating the podcast on Spotify, following on Spotify, and subscribing on YouTube. Other things that will help a lot are things such as liking, commenting, and telling others about this podcast. All of this can be done very quickly, very easily, and completely free. But it would be a massive help for the podcast. Of course, this would be very encouraging for us. These things will also help the podcast to be found by more people. And the more people that find us, the more we can support the bands that we feature. So we would be very thankful for your support. In this type of episode, we choose a band and talk about things such as influences, style, lyrics, future plans, etc. in order to give you an introduction and an idea what the band is like. And of course, encouraging you to listen to their music and look into them further. I am Johan Verbalizer, and this episode will be dedicated to the band Apocalypse Conspiracy. Apocalypse Conspiracy is a thrash metal band from Portugal and was started in 2021. But the idea of starting the band came up long before that, and the members have written some of the songs long before the band itself actually started. They went into the studio with a lot of defined ideas, and from there things took off pretty quickly. It didn't take longer than 3 months after that, until the band went up on stage and played their first live show. After playing a lot of live shows in 2022, the band went into the studio to record their first full-length album. During this time, however, the band didn't stop playing live or writing new material. To me, all this suggests that Apocalypse Conspiracy is a very hard-working band and is very serious about what they are doing, which is something that I really respect. When it comes to the influences of Apocalypse Conspiracy, it is generally defined by each member's individual influences that they each bring to the table. The members played in different bands before with different styles. The style of Apocalypse Conspiracy, however, is kind of like a mix of their experiences from these previous bands. The influences include old school thrash metal bands such as Metallica, Megadeth, Exodus, and Testament, as well as being influenced by the kind of groove from a band like Lamb of God. Apocalypse Conspiracy is trying to mix together these influences to create their own style of thrash metal. The kind of overall idea of the music of Apocalypse Conspiracy is that it's supposed to be easy to listen to but still feel very powerful. I personally think that is a very accurate description of this band's sound. One thing that I personally like, speaking of this, is the very in-your-face vocals. And I will say that that's probably definitely a part of the power in the band's songs. If you're a big fan of old school American thrash metal in the style of the previously mentioned bands, you should definitely give Apocalypse Conspiracy a chance. In terms of song length, the songs tend to be kind of in the middle, I would say, and range between kind of like 4 to 5 minutes, around that range, I would say. The way Apocalypse Conspiracy is working is that they come up with a main idea for a song, then they present this idea to the whole band, and all members get to have a say. I really like this because when several musicians with different experiences work together like that to write the music, I think there's a great potential that they would create something original and very interesting. And I think that is definitely the case with Apocalypse Conspiracy. When it comes to the image of Apocalypse Conspiracy, it deals with subjects such as lies, control, deception, war, and resistance, which is also what the band's lyrics tend to revolve around. The band created a character with these subjects in mind that they have portrayed on every artwork. The character is wearing a uniform, and the upper half of its head looks like a skull with one eye glowing red, and the bottom half is like a gas mask. They have even played a concert with an actor on stage dressed like this character. I really like this. They're not the first band to do something like this, but it is not very common for bands to do something like that, especially not nowadays, I would say, which makes it very interesting. So, in my personal opinion, they should definitely keep doing that when playing live. The band is creating all their artwork, album covers, logo, lyric video designs, and production themselves. All of the band's art was handmade by the band's guitarist Miguel. He painted them on canvas and then took a picture of it. This also clearly shows that this band is very hardworking and serious, and this kind of like style with the making a painting on a canvas and then kind of like make that into artwork for like albums and stuff like that by taking a picture of it. Like I really like that, because again, I think that at least as far as I'm concerned, I might be wrong on this, but it doesn't seem like that's very common for that kind of like really dedication to like actually make handmade paintings and use them as artwork. We have had bands on this podcast before doing that, but as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't seem very common. So when I hear bands doing this, it definitely impresses me a lot. When it comes to the name of the band, originally it was supposed to be Divine Conspiracy, but they soon realized that there was already a band called Divine Conspiracy, so they kept trying. But they wanted to keep conspiracy, since the term is so associated with the band's lyrics and theme. Eventually, someone came up with the idea of calling the band Apocalypse Conspiracy instead. Since apocalypse is also a term that is very associated with the band's lyrics, it made a lot of sense for them to use it. And personally, I think it's a great name, and I would agree with the band that it's a name that has a very clear link to the theme of the band, and I think that it makes a lot of sense as well that they would use a name like that. When it comes to the future of Apocalypse Conspiracy, their main priority seems to be playing live. For example, the band would really want to go abroad and play live, as well as also playing live outside of Portugal in general. I'm going to end this episode with a message from Apocalypse Conspiracy. Quote, "We would like to thank a lot for the opportunity to talk about us, about our path until this moment, and about our goals to the future. Step by step, we are building our own history, and all our friends, family, and fans have been the most important piece of the puzzle." End of quote. These are my thoughts and comments about the band, but now I would like to hear your thoughts. What do you think about Apocalypse Conspiracy? Do you have a favorite song by them? If so, which one? Let us know in the YouTube comments or on social media. We have now reached the end of this episode. It means a lot to me that you've been listening all the way to the end. I really appreciate that. We will be back to Verbalize again next week.